There it goes. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just, I'm gonna wait because what if he changes his mind? You
Yeah.
know, I don't know. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. No takesies backsies.
Well, you would hope so, but still, I would feel strange.
Yeah. Whatever.
I'm gonna upload. Uh, I'm gonna upload some costumes from Friday night that I forgot to do. We had a couple kids show up in costume. They got to race for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, you were
Jackson
there.
was telling me I needed to dress like I was Mario.
Like Mario.
Yeah.
Is Mario Mexican or is he Italian?
Italian.
I know, but I don't know. Every once in a while.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, I can't remember. I remember watching.
Remember, we're live.
I
We're
know.
live. We're
I'm
live.
not gonna get us canceled. I'm just saying. I remember of a documentary of Mario, and I could have swore that at some point he wasn't supposed to be Italian, and then he
Oh,
just kind of
I don't
morphed
know.
into being Italian.
Grazie.
Because I know a lot more Mexican Mario's than I do Italian Mario's. If you want to get into the real deal there,
Yeah. I don't know.
you know. Anyways, um, how's it going?
I don't know any Italian. Or, yeah. I guess I don't know any Mexican Luigi's. But,
That's true. I don't know any Italian
yeah.
Luigi's either, though. Do you?
Yeah.
Like
I think
honestly,
it's a very Italian name.
honestly, I if somebody was Italian, I probably wouldn't even know unless they actually talk
I
like they're like,
definitely.
"Hey, I'm Italian," or they're like that, that's a spicy meatball, like right?
Oh, yeah.
Uh.
Uh, I definitely don't know anybody named Waluigi or Wario. Anyway.
Hey, you want to hear something weird? My sister and I were talking about the Tamaya lunchbox before we came on air here,
Uh-huh.
and now there's an ad from Tower Hobbies for a lunchbox on my phone.
Really?
What the heck?
Hmm.
My phone's listening to me.
Yeah.
Super not cool. Although everybody's
Mhm.
phone listens to them, so what are you gonna do? Hey, the YouTube channel is up to 1,800 subscribers.
Really?
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
it's
I subscribed.
yeah, that's good. Um,
Yeah.
when I was down at this 1,802 subscribers right now.
Hmm.
When I was down in Myrtle Beach for the Masters of Dirt at Beachline RC,
Hmm.
I did have a couple people come up and say, "Hey, how's it going? I watch you. I subscribe to your channel. We like what you do." That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman named Bob Barker, and I would always snicker
Really?
whenever they announced him on the microphone. And he has his
Yeah.
own YouTube channel. I think it's called Barker Motorsports. And he wanted a
Uh-huh.
picture with me, and then I said, "Well, what's your YouTube channel?" And then I subscribed to it. So if you haven't subscribed to
Nice.
Barker Motorsports, you need to get on there and do that too.
Yeah. Come on down and subscribe to.
Yeah, come on down.
Sorry. Yeah.
Is it? Uh, I know he just passed away recently, but there's nothing better than
Bob Barker?
yeah. Right?
No,
Didn't
he
he?
didn't. Did he really?
I could have swore he did.
No.
Is he still? He
He
can't.
looks like an ad for death, but no, I thought he's still alive.
Hold on. I'm gonna do a fact check. I'm gonna do a Joe Rogan fact
Yeah.
check, and you're gonna be
Yeah. We need like a
uh,
young Jamie.
yeah. Hang on.
If you listen to the
Bob
Rogan.
Barker, television show host. Oh Jesus, is he still alive?
Yeah, he's like got one foot in the grave, the other on a
I
banana
could have
peel.
swore he
He's
just
still
died.
alive.
I could have swore he just died. Maybe
Sean
I'm.
Connery just died.
Holy crap! He's 96 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not dead yet. All right, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Mhm. It's like you're the closest. So you're the closest spitter without going over.
What's what's his what's the movie? Is it Happy Gilmore? Still the best.
Yeah, Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Price is wrong, bitch.
Uh-oh. All right, do we not have you?
Why?
We still do.
I'm right here.
Oh yeah, he's okay. Hey, say something.
Something. You there?
Yeah, there you're on
Can
there.
you hear me now?
I see it on the bottom.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Also, pivot's going to be 7 minutes.
7 minutes? We better do it early. Pivot's going to
Our
be
mics
7.
are off during that, right?
Which one? Yeah, our
Our
mics are off.
mics are off during that.
Yeah, our mics are off during that one.
Okay.
I'm gonna use that to go get something to drink, and so I can
Okay.
crack it open.
I'm gonna use that to sit here and eat. Man, I just haven't had any snacks today.
What did I do? Oh, I had the managers meeting at work today. Before we get started, I had a managers meeting at work today. All positive news, so that's good.
Yeah, I like positive.
Everything's positive. We had a really good weekend. We'll get into that.
You're not just sure, you're positive.
I'm positive. Okay.
Oh, I lost you. Oh wait, no, you're good. I got you.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, here we go. You ready?
Sure, why not?
All right. Hey, howdy, folks. This is Alex Sturgeon with the Hobbytown HobbyPlex here for the HobbyPlex Show podcast. I am back after a 1 week hiatus. I was on vacation last week, but we are back live for an actual real show. Here with me, as always.
Will Brinton.
And we're here to talk about anything and everything HobbyPlex. There are a couple new releases that are out, that are announced anyways, that I wanted to talk about. And then I want to talk about our big race weekend we had with Dirt Oval. We had almost 80 entries yesterday. And good Friday night. And Will was there, having fun.
Yeah.
And what did we do Saturday? Did we race Saturday?
No. I thought there was some carpet
Oh,
going on.
it was Halloween Saturday, so we didn't race.
Yeah, it's Halloween. Yeah.
It's totally lost my train of thought there. And then maybe we'll talk about Beachline a little bit if you want to. You want to ask me some questions?
Yeah, sure.
I want to go over what not to do when you qualify first, like I did.
Ah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, how's it going?
Oh, fine.
I only got to talk
There you
to you
go.
for a little bit on Friday.
Yeah. My stuff was good. My 4-wheel was decent. I have some more parts for it sitting here.
Are they the
Show
J
up
Concept
on
stuff or
Saturday.
the associated stuff?
I have every single J Concepts part on here that'll work with the new car.
Nice.
I have the only thing I didn't put on there, I got it, but I didn't put it on there, was the battery strap, because I didn't think that it fit as well as the associated one.
Oh.
But and I don't know, I don't remember why I didn't think it fit very well. I think that it didn't key in. I was gonna use it, but I've got a trim part of it, so I'm gonna put it on there. But I got a trim part of it, and then so like my whole thing with this car is to get it as light as possible.
Right.
So I've been trimming weight off this thing. Every single screw on this thing is titanium, except for these screws in the steering rack, and then the bottom ones for the posts. Those are steel, and then the bottom shock mount.
And is it to get unsprung weight, or is it just overall lightness?
It's just to make it lighter. So you've heard me talk about like swing weight,
right,
and stuff like that before. I mean, having a heavier car makes it harder to change directions. So trying to get this thing as light as possible, I feel like is critical to making it work well. At least you can isolate the suspension a little bit more. I mean, is the lighter your car gets, the less forgiving your suspension is. Like the tuning window is narrower,
Okay.
but I feel like, but
Because the low C 4-wheel drive, everybody's using a lightweight pack. They're putting those plastic diff gears in there. The car itself, usually if you grab somebody's car like Tom Rennerneck's, is actually lighter than legal, so they got to add weight to it. And you watch
Really?
that, yeah. And if you watch it go around the track, it never bounces. Wherever it lands, it just goes plop and then keeps going.
yeah,
So I
Yeah,
wasn't
that's-
sure. I wasn't sure if the weight had something to do with that.
it probably has something to do with it. I feel like a lighter car lands a little better for me. I mean, my two wheel. I haven't weighed either of these cars. Like my two wheel. The last time I weighed it, I think it weighs like 1575, somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's not too
and
bad.
I just
for a
run. I
four-wheel
run
drive.
this is the battery pack out of my two wheel, just the 6100 Reedy pack, and then I have a 20-gram weight under the battery, and then I just run the aluminum electronics weight, and that's it. I just have I don't have the servo weight underneath the servo,
Yeah,
but I have the J Concepts servo
Brace,
mount.
yeah.
So it kind of like makes up for it. And I have the aluminum steering bell cranks, and then I have an aluminum front bulkhead. So for my two wheel, it's more a balance thing. Like I use the carbon fiber motor plate, and then I had the aluminum rear transmission inserts for the diff in it, and I took them out because my car felt like it had more grip without them. So it kind of goes back to that swing weight
Right.
thing. So it's just like, like you approach a corner and you start turning. Well, then this tries to drive through the front of the car and just swings out. It's not that exaggerated, but you can feel it. So, but yeah, that's where I think with these mid-motor cars, it's more critical to try to get more centered balance out of the car. Because like my two wheel, it doesn't matter how much grip there is. My car drives the same. It's just a little slower. Like on lower grip,
Yeah.
it's just slower. And then on high grip, it feels like it drives about the same. It's more responsive. It just drives faster. Like I can put it where I want without waiting on it. But it still has that same predictability.
Your car looked pretty good on Friday.
Did it?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I was just running old tires from the summer series still. I haven't mounted up any new stuff for it. I was just burning off all that stuff.
Emerson
I ran gold.
Emerson and I are going to race Friday.
Yeah.
We didn't race last Friday. Our stuff wasn't really ready for any sort of racing again, especially at our track. All we had were slicks.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I thought your car looked really good on Friday. Planted, drove well.
Yeah, I feel like I can take this setup anywhere and just run it and have it work.
That's good.
Because your setup's similar to mine.
Yeah.
I mean, your car was rocking down in Myrtle Beach, so
Yeah. Yeah.
when the one opened, right?
Yeah, I did. You want to talk about that now, or you want to wait?
we can talk about it whenever you want. You went to the race.
All right. So real quick, well, I went to Beachline RC at Myrtle Beach for the Masters of Dirt. Really, I was looking for a race to go to that was actually going to happen because all these races were getting canceled, and they ended up with like 330 something entries, and I think that's because the place is really cool. It's a really nice place. Track's awesome. It was built really well. The jumps worked. They have a really nice setup, but also a lot of the races are getting canceled. So you kind of have to, if you want to go race at a bigger race, you gotta find a place that's actually hosting it. And this was one of those places, and I'm really glad I went. The way down there, I did a YouTube kind of 3-parter. It just happened to be 3-parters just because of how it worked. But the plan was to drive all day all day Tuesday, and then get there late Wednesday. And we were making really good time. And then we ended up in a traffic jam in between North and South Carolina because a semi rolled over and exposed some chemicals and stuff. And then because of where we were at, there was no really good way to get around it. And so we sat there for like an hour, and then Gretchen was getting antsy.
You didn't get superpowers. You didn't get superpowers or anything from the chemical spill.
No, it's too far away. I will say though
Man, that would've been sweet.
Emerson and I went. Well, actually, here, this is so stupid. This is dumb. So we're sitting there on the interstate. We're stuck. Nobody's moving. Everybody's starting to get out of the cars. You ever watch the movie like Deep Impact, where everybody's trying to get out of the and all these people are lined up and they're all getting out of their cars to look at the meteorite that's going overhead, and then eventually it slams into the thing, and then they're all surprised when the tidal wave comes and kills them all. That's what it felt like,
dude.
Yeah, that's what it felt like on the interstate as people started getting out of their cars, because what else, you got to get out and stretch, and you're not going to get run over. There's no worry about that. The other side of the interstate was closed. There was no cars coming at all, except for the occasional, firemen or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had to pee. I had to pee bad,
Yeah.
right? And so I jumped over the interstate, the other side of the interstate, went off and kind of walked down this thing. Turned out to be a little bit larger of a ledge than I anticipated, but I still got down there deep enough so nobody could see my wiener when I was peeing. And so then I come back out, and then I'm like, Emerson had to pee. So then I'm like, Emerson, just do what I did. Just go over there. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm like, Emerson, dude, I'm like, what is your problem? Just go over there and pee in the bush. And he's like, no, people will see me. And I'm like, dude, I just did it. It's fine. Nobody's going to care. That everybody here is traveling just like we are. They're going to understand.
Everybody's cool, man.
Yeah, everybody's cool. Eventually, down the road, a couple cars, they got out and did the same thing. They wandered over to a bush and they went pee. Emerson did not want to do that. Then Gretchen had to pee. Now, here's the thing. We were all drinking Mountain Dew or water. Gretchen's real big on this Crystal Light water thing lately, and so she really had to pee. And I told her I wouldn't tell this story today, but I'm going to tell it, and because she doesn't listen to the podcast anyways. My wife ended up peeing in a cup. And
nice.
It was
just one cup.
It was a lot.
Like, are we talking?
It was
like a Dixie.
It
cup?
was like a 7-Eleven Big Gulp type cup. Okay.
Oh, nice.
And it was a lot of pee. I was shocked by how much pee was in this cup. And the worst thing is she wanted to keep the cup, not with pee in it, but just to keep it. So here I am. So I'm outside. I'm outside of this car, and we got tinted windows, so nobody can see inside of it. For the most part, I think. Who knows? But I'm standing there, and then she gets out of the car, and then instead of like walking really far away to dump the pee out, she just like spooshes it in the center lane divider, maybe 8 feet from our car. And I was like, babe, I'm like, come on. I mean, even if people didn't see you pee in the car, they're going to wonder what the hell is this really dark yellow liquid being like thrown out of this cup in the middle of the lane divider. Plus, I didn't want the pee smell anywhere, right? And so I didn't get in the car for like 20 minutes. I was like, I'm not sitting in this car with you just peed in a cup in the car. There's no way I'm sitting in this car. So then Emerson got the idea that he was going to pee in the cup. So both my wife and my son peed in the cup. Okay. Then, and then again, Emerson went to get rid of it, and it was right next to our car. And I'm like, damn it, you guys, like, stop doing this near the car. This is gross. I don't want this going on. Oh, so we're there for like an hour. I finally decide, you know what? Let's take our chances. Let's people were driving the wrong way down the interstate on the shoulder because there was an off ramp like I don't know, 50 yards behind us. There was one road that was paralleling this interstate, and I told Babe, my wife, you realize that everybody coming on the interstate is going to be on this road, so we're not really going to get anywhere fast anyways. Well, we get over there, and sure enough, it's a standstill. Nobody's going anywhere, okay? I thought it was going to at least move a little bit, but it wasn't. And then it started to get even weirder. We maybe moved like half a mile in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it was excruciating. And turns out that this is such a twisty, windy road through mountainous terrain going up and down that a semi-truck, their trailer overhung over the road, and then caught the ledge and then flipped this truck over. So you had a semi-truck accident on the interstate, and then at the same time, you had a semi-truck overturned, blocking the only detour to get around the interstate wreck. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so this thing took a matter of about 4.5 hours. And there's two crappy things that happened from this. One was right, like literally as we were passing this off ramp on the interstate on our way before we slowed down. I'm like, all right, we need to get something to eat. Next stop, we'll find something to eat. So we were starving. So 4.5 hours, we were just hungry, right? So we were hangry, very hangry. There's 3 people in this car that were together for like 12 hours that day that are not normally used to being 12 hours together the whole time.
Did you have a Donner party?
Yeah,
scenario?
no, not really. but then not only did Gretchen pee in the cup once, she had to do it again on the other road. And it was and I couldn't get out of the car because we were kind of moving but not really. And so then Emerson and I both had to be in the car while Gretchen had a blanket over her trying to pee in this cup in the front seat. It was awful.
Yeah.
It was one of the worst things about this trip. And a great story to tell on the podcast for everybody to hear. It was great.
I peed in a Gatorade bottle one time fairly recently.
Yeah, but we have
driving home
wieners.
from somewhere. Yeah. No, that's why you get the Gatorade bottle.
Yeah.
You have the wide mouth bottle.
Because I was looking at her like, are you serious? Like, how is this even going to work? I don't even know what this. How is this even going to operate this way? But she made it work. You know, good for her.
Hey, stuff that right in the wide mouth Gatorade and let her rip. You gotta get like the 32-ounce Gatorades, they're like the big ones. I always get one of those for every car trip.
Yeah.
And my wife's like looking at me like, "Oh, you know what this is for later. I don't want to stop." I've done it while I was driving before.
Yeah.
That's talent.
Yeah, I guess. That is talent. Anyways, so we got there late Wednesday, and then Thursday they had 4 hours practice, and I was ready to go, man. I was like one of the first ones on the track. The cool thing about down there, you know how our track, you kind of like, you heat your tires up, you go drive. It gets a little bit easier to drive with new tires on, maybe like 3 or 4 minutes in. Then you go back to your pits and you kind of do the same thing. It's awesome and all that stuff. Then usually by the second or third, maybe even third time you're running on, your tires, it's go time. You can actually drive hard and all that stuff. Yeah. It took like 1 minute down there with silvers, J Concept Silver compound. It was like 2 or 3 laps, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I can do this. Here we go. So that was good.
Nice.
The tire wear picked up a lot, so eventually we went to slicks. The pros kind of were on slicks by noon on Friday, and it was practice from 10 to 8, I think is what it was. And I got my tires pretty much slicked up by the end on Friday. And then qualifying came, and I TQ'd 40 plus mod. I had 2 good runs. My first run didn't wreck at all, and everybody else did. And then the second run, I did wreck, but I put down some pretty good laps and ended up kind of getting lucky because a couple of the other guys like Brent and Alan kind of had some bobbles late. So I TQ'd. It was 2 out of 3. So I TQ'd 40 plus, 13.5 wheeler. So there's like 50 entries in that class, and that was the one class that I was like, with 40 plus mod and open mod, I kind of went down there in this mindset that I didn't want to put a lot of pressure on myself or take everything too seriously. But then I also wanted to race a class with my 4-wheel drive car that was a lot more competitive. And so that's why I ran 13.5 4-wheel drive. Plus I have Kyle Gannon's 13.5 motor, so I know it's really fast. Qualified 5th in the first round. And I just went out there and just didn't wreck, kind of like I did in 40 plus. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. And then the second round, I was 12th or 14th. I think I got a 14 that round. I did crash. And so it came down to the last round, and I think I got a 9 again because I wasn't very fast. So they had this tire rule, and it was kind of I wasn't sure how far you could go with your tires. Could you sand down your tires or not? And so I wasn't sanding down my 13.5 handout tires. Another reason I didn't want to buy another set of them, but my second round, I think I got a 14 because I left a bunch of tread on them. I started looking at everybody's tires, and they were kind of sanded down, not all the way to slicks, but just definitely sanded down, especially down the middle. And I talked to Ryan Harris about it, and he's like, yeah, you definitely need to scrub some of the middle off. That's where the traction is. I'm like, okay, fine. So I went and I did that, and then I was definitely faster for the third round. Probably could have qualified even higher, but I wrecked, I think, once or twice, well, maybe just once or something. Anyways, Jason Engel, Butters, and I tied. And if I didn't want, it's not my race, so I'm never going to go up to somebody and say, hey, you should do it this way, or you should do it this way. But I got the tiebreaker. I was 8th qualifier in A main. They took the top 8. But they were using the IFMAR way of tiebreakers, not the ROAR way of tiebreakers. So the IFMAR tiebreaker is the higher score gets the spot. So I had a 5 that first round, and Jason, I think his top was an 8 or something like that, maybe a 6.
Yeah.
So in that way, I got the tiebreaker. But his combined times of the 2 rounds, which is the way that ROAR does it, should have put him 8th. So, I got away with one there, I guess.
No, I mean, it just depends on the rules they use. They chose to use that tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yep.
I'm sure it was consistent across every class. As long as they do the same thing every time, I don't care what the tiebreaker is.
Yeah.
Just don't do it different for Alex Surgeon and Jason, and then use Roar for this guy because it benefits him better.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm not saying that would ever happen down there or anything. I've never been there.
Not at all.
Definitely the consistency is important. So just do the same thing every time. You'll be fine.
I use ROAR for everything that we do because I feel the ROAR is the national standard. So that's why I use the ROAR tiebreakers.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so the main day came around, and here's the deal. I was sitting in my pits, and this is where things start to went off the rails for me. By the way, Emerson qualified 3rd in Open.
Nice.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of him. But this is where things started went off the rails. I'm sitting in my pits. I'm getting everything ready, and I'm done for the day. I'm trying to clean up, and I start to look at my tires on my two-wheel drive buggy, and I can see these little tears in the silvers. And I'm thinking, oh, crap, my tires are starting to come apart. I've worn them down too far. I better do something about it. And so the last round of qualifying for 40 plus, I went out on a different set of tires than I had been using all day, and it wasn't the same. My car wasn't the same, and I crashed a lot. And I think I ended up 4th that round. It didn't matter, so I wasn't really that worried about it. But I was like, holy crap. Okay, well, let's make some new tires. So I mounted up a Silvers front and rear, and I went to go grind them in, and everybody was out of purple Scotch-Brite, which is what we were using. And I had in my stuff, I had a thing of emery cloth. And I was like, well, I think this will work. And so I used that instead. And it achieved the same effect. Nice looking slicks. I thought they looked great. And I'm like, okay, they have practice from 7 to 8 tomorrow morning, Sunday morning. I got to get out here and scrub these tires in. So I left the kids at the hotel, and I hustled over to the track because Emerson was like, my car's fine, leave my car alone. So I'm like, okay, whatever, you're the boss. So I went to go scrub my tires in, and the first run on those tires, I mean, it was bad, right? But I was chalking it up to new tires. I ran 3 more times. They had these little 3-minute sessions, and not a lot of people were practicing that morning, so I actually got to run a lot. And they got better as they went along. And then they had this A-main practice. And my 40-plus A-main practice, I was crashing everywhere. And I'm like, what is going on? And so then I wasn't going to, but I'm like, well, I'm going to use my two-wheel drive open A-main practice I'm going to resauce these real fast. And I went out there, and then it felt fine, I thought, right? So the main came, and my car was not the same. And I overjumped. I made the triple at the start, but I overjumped the next one, and I ended up out right next to the wall, and there was some loose stuff there, and I skidded out, got past for 3rd. So Brent is now in front, and he's gone after that. Because I knew I was like, okay, well, I got to keep Brent behind me so that he gets pressure from Alan in the first couple laps so that I can try to get away. And then the second corner, I'm already in third, and I'm like, well, there goes that plan. And I was staying there, and I just was not comfortable with my car, and I ended up crashing a lot more in that 10-minute main. And eventually, I started just like letting people go because I wasn't sure where I was or who I was racing with, and I ended up 8th in the main after all that.
Yeah.
So with that one, you and I talked about this. I called you the other day and asked you about this, and I'm like, or no, we talked about it on Friday, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think changing what I made the slicks with may have messed up those tires, right? Like cap them?
Well, that's what I was thinking, because it's like you need some, like what I've found with grinding silvers, you need something that's gonna like pull heat away from the tire. That's why I use that big Brillo-y Scotch-Brite pad, because it's a big surface area. It's gonna kind of pull heat away, and whatever. Like I've done it before, like using Scotch-Brite at work, or not Scotch-Brite, emery cloth at work to polish something, or I've done it on tires before where you just have a piece of it like on your thumb. It'll get so hot that it'll like burn your thumb, like out. It's hot.
Yeah.
And the Scotch-Brite doesn't do that because it's pulling the heat out, or at least to an extent. So when you get one, you get the effect of the excess heat, and two, that excess heat kind of like smears the tire. So like a tire, like if you looked at it underneath a microscope after you break it in, it has a whole bunch of like little pores on it, and like if you and that's what like the sauce soaks into and whatever. If you cap that or you smear it, or you tear it or heat it up, the silver compound's really like susceptible to that. It's easy to do it.
Yeah.
So you want something that's just going to remove material and not get the tire hot. I mean, super hot while you're grinding it or you're scuffing it.
I do remember a lot more smoke on those set of tires specifically than I had all week.
Yeah, and like when I grind silvers, like if I make a set of slicks out of silver, I put my drill, and that's one reason why I wanted the drill that I got, like that Milwaukee one, is because it'll run like super slow.
Yeah,
like it's just like grainy low in low gear.
Yep. And
you can just hold it on there, and you're doing like, I don't know, 20 to 50 RPM. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
And just letting the material just start like falling off, but it's removing it or it's cutting it. It's not like heating it up and like melting it off.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first set of silvers I ever ground, I was like, oh, those are going to be bad. Like I just scuffed them like one time, like I normally would with clay, and it was just like instant, like melt, like balls of rubber everywhere.
See, and I did that in 2016 too. This is before I was sponsored by J Concepts. I could run them whatever I wanted to, and I had a set of Proline tires that I was trying to break in, and I just straight up ruined them because I got them. I basically melted the rubber instead of grinded the rubber off, and I remember going, oh, "Damn it! I don't even know if these are going to be any good," and they definitely weren't. Like I ruined them.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to cap them.
So live and learn, I guess. I still feel pretty bad about that one because I feel like I let one go. I should have just left the tires on that I had. They would have been fine, I think.
Yeah.
So, anyways, in 13.5 4-wheel drive, so I got that 8th spot, and two things happened. So I got that 8th spot. They didn't do driver announcements for 40 plus or for open mod, but they did for 13.5. I forgot what class I was running, so in the car I put B6.2 instead of 22X4. and the guy announced it like I'm in 4-wheel drive. Why would you announce B6 You would look, if I was the announcer guy, I would have looked at that and go, huh? No, you don't.
Yeah.
But he wrote, it was like Anchorman. He just wrote what was on this sheet. Anyways, so we started the race, and it was a little rough at first. I felt like I was in 8th spot, minding my own business, and had an opportunity to move up a few spots, and I got kind of driven down onto. You can see it on the video.
Mhm.
And because
Yeah.
I was more or less just happy to be there, I was like, whatever, man, you want to go, you know? And then the next thing you know, everybody starts wrecking in front of me, and I find myself in 5th place with like
Yeah.
a minute down. I'm in 5th, and I'm again, minding my own business. My car felt really good. I remember up in the driver's stand going, dude, you're in 5th place. You know you get an award for 5th place? Like, just stay here. This is great. And then I got kind of close to 4th and 3rd, and then the next lap, I traction rolled in a weird spot, and the marshal had his back turned, so it took a little bit longer, I think, than it probably could have. But whatever, I crashed, so it doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
I got caught. Ryan Harris caught me. He and I were racing for 5th for a little while. Then I wrecked again, and Patrick Rossiter caught me. And then he and I were racing for 6th. And with a minute left to go, I'm up on the driver's stand, and I start to feel my car go soft, and I'm like, uh-oh. Oh, no. And I wanted to say, you're one lucky dude, Patrick, but I wasn't sure what kind of mood he was in, you know, because I only talked to him a little bit earlier in the week. I never really talked to him after that. But my battery died because
What?
yeah, well, here's the deal. They had 10-minute mains, okay, and my 4-wheel drive battery is a 3600 ProTech.
Mm-hmm.
And before this race, okay, I looked at my truck, and there's a 4900 battery sitting in there. We didn't run my truck. There's a brand new 4900 sitting in this thing, and I'm like, I should probably put that in for this. I'm not sure if I can make 10 minutes. But I'm
Yeah.
like, but then I was like, that's a way heavier battery though. Like, it'll change how your car handles. Maybe
You're
should
on high grip though.
I know. And so then I'm like, nah, you'll be fine. I'm like, you practice longer than 10 minutes. It won't be a problem. And so then I just rolled around really slow, and I went from battling for 6th to dead last on the last lap.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a bummer. Did you turn your low voltage cutoff off?
I did. I always do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I always
why
turn all that
that's
stuff
why I
off.
was able to keep that's why I was able to keep going.
Yeah, I turn all the thermal off too.
Yep, me too.
Just turn
Thermal, all that
off.
stuff off. I learned that at the Reedy race a long time ago.
Turn it off.
So, to be honest with you, that one didn't bother me. That was the first main that was up, and it didn't bother me one bit because I was like, well, I'm just happy to be here. Like, I thought I could make the A main in 13.5. I felt like
Mhm.
I still have that ability, and I did, so I wasn't worried about it. And then the 40 plus main came after that, 2 races later, and that went down the tubes, and I'm like, oh my god, I better not screw up open. Like, this is gonna be bad. And so I went back and I changed out my tires. I put my old tires on my 2-wheel drive because this race was 2 races after 40 plus, and I went up there, and Emerson and I were standing right next to each other on the driver's stand, and I was like, good job, dude, and he's like, good job. He's like, I'm coming to get you. And I'm like, okay, dude, do it. Come get me. And first time over the triple, I didn't triple it. Neither did anybody else behind me, so that was good. But every lap after that, I did. But I ended up, I went from the horrible dumpster fire that was the 40 plus main of crashing everywhere to not crashing one time in this 10-minute open A main.
Yeah.
And then Emerson qualified 3rd, and he crashed a lot, and his body ended up coming off like 2 minutes into it.
Oh.
And so he had to get his body put back on, and he still managed to get 5th. So I feel like he could have done better if that hadn't happened.
Yeah.
But here's the deal, and you tell me, when I saw that J Concepts INS races had now an open 2-wheel drive mod class and like a pro class, I became pretty happy. I'm like, I'm gonna race open. I don't the pressure of pro. I'm kind of over it. You know, I don't really need it, and I would just love to race open. And I saw like who was the kid down there in St. Louis that's really fast, but he doesn't really have like a sponsor. Is it
There's I can't remember his
I
name.
can't remember his name either. But anyways, so he wins the open class down there at the INS last year, and I'm like, oh, we can do that? I'm like, I'm totally doing that. So I entered open at this race for 2 reasons. I didn't want to run pro. I wanted to race with my son. Emerson hasn't raced a lot this year. This has been one of those times where he still comes to the track and races, but not in a way that we were doing a couple of years ago. He's into other stuff. So we both wanted to be in the same class. He didn't want to run pro. So I'm like, well, I'll run open. Well, the first qualifier of open, it was pretty apparent that I was probably in the wrong class. And I say that because the closing rate on some of these guys was so fast that I got wrecked a lot in the first qualifier. And I don't blame these.
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody in the heat at all. And I should have done a better job of driving around some of these guys. But I was like, after that race, I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't realize that it was going to be that way. And I started thinking that maybe I should change my class to pro. And I talked to Brent Densford about it, and he's like, no, dude, nobody cares. Race with your son. Have some fun. And I'm like, okay. So they did a resort, and then it got better. So then we were all a little bit closer. And I didn't TQ the first round of open. But I TQ'd the second and third round of open. And those times would have probably put me in the B main of pro. So I kind of felt weird. I felt like maybe I was a sandbagger a little bit, I guess. But the final main, my stuff or my head, I don't know what was what, but wasn't working right, and I didn't win by that much. So maybe I wasn't in the end. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
I felt weird about it. I didn't feel good about it. Let's put it that way. I won, but I didn't feel that great about it.
Yeah.
I was a little butthurt that Emerson didn't finish better either, because I think he could have.
Right.
So that's all. So
Yeah.
1 out of 3. At least I didn't screw that one up, though. If I would have screwed that one up and not finished first, it would have been a long drive home.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
It already was a long drive home, but whatever. Okay, so there you go. That's the Beachline RC wrap up. One funny story, inside view on how I finished. I had fun. I liked the place. Thanks to everybody on YouTube that watched my videos. They've got a lot of views so far, so that's really good too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Let's. You want to listen to Pivot Lending real fast? I'm gonna go get something to drink.
Yeah, that's fine. That
All
sounds
right.
good.
Then
I was
we'll-
thinking it'd be a good time for it.
Then we'll get into some new products, and then we'll get into the HobbyPlex racing. So,
Okay, sounds good.
all right, cue the music.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
This is a Pivot Lending Update with David Olson and Don Zoller. Get some.
This is David Olson with Pivot Lending, and with me is
Dawn Zoller.
Don is in charge of our Nebraska, Iowa production. And we're just taking a minute to talk about break-even analysis on refinancing and exactly what you want to be prepared for so you're not getting fooled by just a drop in rates, because there's more to that calculation than seeing the price tag of an interest rate note drop. Let's just say you're currently at 4.5 and it goes down to 3.75, and you're thinking, this might be a good time for me to make a move from the 30-year that we just closed on the purchase into another 30-year. So I'm going to let Dawn talk about the details of that, and also invite anybody listening to contact Dawn. And if you have your most recent closing disclosure and also a mortgage statement, feel free to, again, contact Dawn, send that information over to Dawn, make sure that you have it encrypted, and we can figure out kind of what it takes for you to break even on any sort of refinance. And at that point, do you think that you will be in that house for more than 3 years or 5 years or 6 years, whatever that break even point is? And then following up with the additional months that you would save as an aggregate in that savings bucket. Don?
So when I visit with someone who's interested in lowering their interest rate first thing I do is have about a 10 or 15-minute conversation with them, go over their current mortgage, what they owe, what their interest rate is, how long they've been in it. And then we kind of talk through what the rates are now, what an interest rate would be for them based on credit history and that kind of thing. And then run some calculations to kind of let them know how many years it's actually going to take them based on what they're saving monthly to recoup the cost of doing the refinance. Obviously, you've got closing costs and you've got to set up a new escrow account, that kind of thing when you do a refinance. So we want to make sure that you're not putting money out just to get a lower interest rate if it's not going to benefit you in the long run. If I can't see them recouping their costs in 2 to 3, 4 years, maybe anything longer than that, a lot can happen in 4 or 5 years. So it doesn't always make sense to do the refinance just to get a lower rate if you're not planning on staying in the house very long, or you're possibly going to be looking at a job transfer, that kind of thing.
That's a really good point, because in our servicing portfolio, I think the average turn time, I think it's 5 years now, or 4.5. It used to be 7. So we could count on a mortgage being on the books for 7 years. And again, that's kind of why the 10-year bond is something we look at for a 30-year mortgage, because the amount of time it's actually going to be on the books is, we used to think 7 to 10 years, but now it's more like 5 years.
7.
Yeah, 5 to 7. So you're exactly right. The closing disclosure tells us, let's just say total closing costs are $2,000. Most of the time it's a little higher than that if your escrow or funds to close is a little bit higher than that. But if you really want to break even analysis, you have to not only take in what your future costs are going to be, like on the closing statement, but you have to go back and prorate your last closing statement. So like if you refinanced a year ago and that refinance cost you $3,000, you need to prorate out your 12 months based on that $3,000. And let's just say there was still $2,000 left over out of that. So you almost have to take that $2,000 plus the new $2,000 or $2,500 and call it $4,500. And normally we don't see back-to-back refis so close because of COVID and all of that. So we traditionally just look at the closing disclosure and make the analysis on that. But I think everybody kind of needs to think about that. If you purchased a home in January, or there was even a period in March, it was like 3 weeks where the rates were 5%.
Higher than 5%.
Yeah, it was nuts. So they came out with the new servicing rules and the investors.
Forbearance.
Yeah, and everybody just backed out of the market. So if you purchased a home in that 30-day window, chances are you've got a 5% rate. But you have to take a look at the aggregate of the total, the systemic costs within, the last year, 3 years, whatever that break-even amount is going to be. So.
Right. And when the equity in homes is growing so fast right now, we try and roll those closing costs into your loan.
Yep.
But if you're refinancing every year, every 2 years, and then in 5 years you get ready to sell your house and you ask yourself, why don't I have any equity? Well, because you've used it all to refinance 3 times.
Right.
So that doesn't.
It's like trading up cars.
Right.
Right. It's like you're constantly upside down. So if you're out there and you've refinanced or purchased within the last 12, 24 months, just make sure that you have your previous closing disclosure and your current mortgage statement that you can provide to Dawn so that we can take a look at your entire picture just to make sure that you know how long it's going to take for you to break even. Because if you're just going off what the current proposal would be to refinance, which is probably what 80% of our industry does, it's a little misleading. And so that might tell you it's going to take you 3 years to break even. But when Dawn actually does the total math and takes in account of all closing costs prorated on the previous closing disclosure, it may be a 5-year break even. So, which is still okay. But to Dawn's point earlier, a lot of things can happen on that 4th, 5th, 6th year. And we see that in our servicing portfolio. So just the benefit may not be there as much as it might be in that 3rd year. Because if you break even in 3 years and you have 24 months of that interest savings, that can be pretty significant based on your loan amount.
So if you're looking to possibly do a refinance, see if we can get your interest rate a little bit lower, we want that free analysis on how it's going to benefit you, if it's going to benefit you, feel free to give me a call, 402-715-9082, and we can go through your current mortgage statement, current closing disclosure that you did for your last mortgage, and see if that's going to benefit you to refinance.
David Olson, NMLS 16099. Don Zoller, NMLS 277589. Pivot Lending, NMLS 109995.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Dude, we got a lot to cover here in this last segment.
Yeah, I'm going downstairs to get some tires. I wanted to weigh my 4-wheel drive to see what it weighed. All put together. I'm working on my new RC room down here.
I saw that on your Facebook.
Yeah. I started actually bringing some stuff down here, and I brought my 4-wheel tires down here.
Nice. I'm going to open up my drink. I've been waiting for this for a little while.
Yeah, have your drink.
This is going to be a classic regular Kickstart drink. I actually had in my hands a Starbucks white chocolate, but they were $3.49 for one. And I'm like,
Aren't Kickstarts like $2 or like they pay you to take them or something?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So hey, real quick, we got 2 new products that I'd like to talk about really fast that we're going to get in at the HobbyPlex. The first one is the B. I think it's called the B17 Betty. It's an SC24 from Axial, and it's a limited edition version of it. And we got a whole bunch of them on order. So hopefully we're going to have like the most out of any place in the country, maybe. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to get a lot of them. And I think they're only going to be like they're going to be cheap, like $119 or $124.99, something like that, I think is what they are. Those SC24s, I mean, they're really easy, fun, little mini rock crawlers. And I actually have a place where I think I'm going to build a mini rock crawler area, and it's going to be underneath the driver's stand in the dirt track.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, might be a good spot for it. Because we certainly don't have any room anywhere else. And then finally, the Losi Mini B. Did you see that?
I did see that. That looks pretty cool.
Dude, I think
I would have been all over that when I was 15 or however old I was when 18 scale was popular.
I think Associated's going to have to get back in the game maybe for minis.
I hope so. That'd be sweet.
If our turn,
I think that I feel like mini racing or micro racing is important because you can do it in a smaller area, and that would make that would give smaller hobby shops the opportunity to have a track. Like, look at how popular mini Z racing is.
Yeah.
You know, just because it's cheaper to build a track, and guess what? That gets people into racing the bigger stuff too.
Yeah. And our carpet off-road has been really fun with the mini stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
it was bad to the bone back in the day.
We might have one early to do a unboxing on this week.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think so. It's supposed to be pretty soon, so keep your eye out there, YouTubers. So those two pretty big releases that came out from Horizon last week. Who knows what's going to be announced this week, but I don't know. Thought that was pretty cool. Wanted to get a little bit of talk about them on the show. Then now I want to get into some race results because we had a pretty good weekend of racing.
Yeah.
So just real quick, Friday night was the night before Halloween. I wasn't expecting a great turnout. We still had 40 entries though, and it was great. And we had like how many 8 scales were there? Like 8, 9?
Yeah, there's a lot.
So that's good because Friday nights have traditionally been our 8 scale night. You know, it used to be we'd run Nitro, but then it became apparent that was unfortunately keeping the newer element, plexers from showing up because they didn't want their kids to be around all that nitro smoke. So it kind of turned into an electric,
But honestly,
8-scale
like
night.
Electric 8 scale on Friday night is perfect because the amount of people there is, and like you don't have to find a pit guy.
Yes.
You just like the 8 guys that are going to run it can run it.
Exactly.
And they can run 8 scale. It works out fine. I think.
So we had 2 heats of Plex spec again, and let's see. I always like to give the Plex. So these are names I'm not familiar with at all. That's the other thing too. Like, because I don't run Fridays, I don't really interact with some of these guys. It looked like Ariana Smith, Tommy's daughter, won the B main of Plex spec. That's pretty cool. So that's 7. Looks like there was 15 Plexers. That ain't too bad.
No.
That's kind of a normal night. The Plex spec A main went to Mike Gablehouse.
Yeah, my buddy.
No, that's your buddy. That's your buddy Mike. Well, that's good.
Yeah, he came and bought all his stuff.
That's right.
All in, got
Well,
all
I know.
stuff from the Plex.
I know his last name now because I didn't know his last name. I just know him as Will's friend Mike.
Yeah.
And then
Mikey Gablehouse.
Wow, he qualified 6th and finished 1st.
Yeah, his dad was my machine tool instructor when I went through trade school.
Is that at Milford?
No, I went to Lincoln. I was one of the last ones they had through Lincoln.
Oh.
And his dad retired as department chair, and that's when they moved the program.
Oh.
At least that's my understanding.
Yeah. Steve Wall finished 2nd in Plex. Joshua Rothfuss finished 3rd. Anthony Wickert was 4th. Jesse Ellithorpe was 5th. And then the Quintanas. They've been back racing. Diego and Mario. And Diego's tall now. I remember when he was short. Little kid. Now he's hit that growth spurt. And now he's taller than his dad even. So that's pretty cool. Then in Mod 2 wheel drive, you took it by, it looks like 21 seconds over Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to Mitchell? He was in 2nd when I got done watching your race.
I don't know.
Did he crash a lot?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I passed him in a qualifier, and he just ran into me 3 times. And the last time, his car was kind of in front of me, and I just pushed him all the way up against the pipe and kept going just so he'd stop. It was funny.
So Tommy finished 2nd, and then Mitchell was 3rd, and it looks like Aiden Olson didn't race that one. And then the e-buggy class, we had again a big turnout. There was 7 8 scales, and I believe Mitchell and Ashton had a pretty good race going. I think Ashton kept crashing though. I was trying to get some video of something, or no, I was over there fixing that wall. That's right. But I was kind of watching the race, and I think Ashton had the faster car, but Mitchell in 8 scale didn't crash a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bryson Paul got 3rd. Ronnie Went was 4th. Steve Wall was 5th. Rex Ebel was 6th. And Wyatt Ebel was 7th. Looks like Rob and his kids came out again. I think they're from the Fort Dodge area. They seem to have some fun.
Have you ever weighed your 4-wheel drive?
No. I should. But I'm too...
Mine weighs 1750. I don't know if that's good or not.
I think that's kind of heavy.
Anyway. Is it?
I think so. Because
it's 1750 with
Tom's
tires
car.
on it.
I've seen Tom's car on the scale, and it's at 15 something. It's crazy. Sorry, but
I did all this stuff. Well, I think there's some other stuff I can do here to try to make this.
Pro 4. I think this class is filled with. It's not your traditional Pro 4 anymore. Friday Night Pro 4 is slashes and Arma Centons. I think that's all there is.
Yeah.
So Steve
People
Wall
that moved out of Plex Spec and still want to race their Plex Spec car.
Yeah, exactly. Steve Wall, Diego was 2nd. Mario Quintana was 3rd. Once again, the kid beating the dad. Joshua Rothfuss was 4th. Jesse Ellithorpe was 5th. Levi Rothfuss, I hope I'm not killing that last name, was 6th. And Jonas Tallberg was 7th. And Collins Ullman was 8th. We had 8 in Pro 4 on Friday. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last race of the night was you, Aiden, Ronnie, Jesse, and it looks like Bryson didn't run. And you edged out Aiden Olson by 0.03 of a second. How did that happen?
I don't know. Well, his car, he was faster than I was. On the last lap, like him and I got around him. He made a mistake, and I got around him. And I mean, I was right there for the whole race.
Yeah.
But he made a mistake, and I got around him. And then he was like right on me, and I even said like I'm gonna old man this kid to death, and just like make my car as wide as possible and not make any mistakes. And he passed me somewhere. I don't know. I don't know where he passed me at, but he got around me. And on the last lap, there's like that hip corner, like like on the left side of the driver's stand. Well, he jumped it, and he jumped into the bowl, like into the lower part of it, like everybody does every once in a while.
Yeah.
And he waited, and then he let me go. I was like, and so I went, and then we raced it out for the last rest of the lap. I was like, you could have just like got in front of me, like been where you were, you know, like he didn't want to. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I mean he probably would have won if that didn't happen.
It was still a good race, though. How was the track on Friday?
No, it was a good race. Yeah. He raced me really good.
I worked on the track a little bit. I put a bunch of dry dirt in some of the condensation drippy spots to try to clean them up a little bit, and then I had Trevor go out there and use the tamper on them.
Yeah.
Did that make a difference?
I thought the track was pretty good.
Okay.
I didn't see any issue with it.
Isn't it crazy?
It is Friday night.
Isn't it crazy how different the track is in the wintertime, though?
Yeah.
I forgot what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you almost don't have to water it for a couple days because it waters itself until the doors get open.
Right, yeah. So. Yeah. Well, the thing I noticed is like the high spots all get really dry. Mm-hmm. So it's like almost like you almost just have to go and water all the high spots.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I was weighing my batteries. So I have a Reedy G3 Zapper 6100. I have a Reedy SG2 5800, and I have a Reedy SG3 4800. And one would think that the 6100 would be like the heaviest battery by a lot. So the 6100 weighs 210 grams. Then the 5800 weighs 215 grams. And the 48 weighs 206 grams. So this is the 4800 was what I had in my four-wheel. Mm-hmm. There's only like a 2 gram difference between that and the 6100. And my older battery, this is the one that I had in my two-wheel. The 58 is actually the heaviest.
Yeah.
This is my old. This is the one that came out of my two-wheel, or the one that I had been running for a while, and I just ran the 6100 on Friday, but I hadn't weighed it yet. I always like to weigh them and see what the difference is.
Well, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put that one in there, or are you gonna use the heavier one?
I'm gonna put the 6100 in it in my four-wheel.
Okay.
I mean that's what, like Spencer and those guys run.
Yeah, that's true.
I may run it with a lighter battery. I have some those really super thin batteries that are the 4100s. But I mean that's only like what 700 milliamps different from what I had before.
Yeah.
So I could just charge it on a high voltage setting and run it. Maybe because that's what I did all last summer series.
Yeah.
Last time I ran four-wheel drive, I just charged it all the way up, and it lasted 8 minutes. So maybe that's the key. Maybe I need to just put a light battery in my car, because I bet that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
So I want to talk about the oval race we had this weekend. So we had our winter.
Yeah, me too.
Our winter oval series number 1, November 1st. And we had 79 entries. That's the highest entry count we've had for Dirt Oval in a while. I think last year we didn't get over 60, so that's really good. Here's the class listing. I'm looking at the Live RC thing. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 classes in Dirt Oval in A mains.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a group that wanted to run modified short course, and then a group that wanted to run 13.5 SC short course late model. So you had a 13.5 short course mod A main, and it looks like there was, well, at least seven entries in the main. I guess I didn't look at if there was a lower main or not. But Alex Keenan took that one with Trevor Zelazny, our guy, Friday Night Race Director, finishing second. Greg Hart finished third. Shane Nielsen finished fourth. Landon Pasker fifth, and Gage Derry sixth. Brian Hart finished seventh. It looks like he didn't finish or did not start.
Bummer.
Yeah. Street stock A main. Looks like Dalton Hawbaker finished first. Brian Bailey second. Leroy Himes third. Steve Foster fourth. John Peterson fifth. Hannah Himes sixth. Shane Nielsen seventh, and Jared Bailey was eighth. I know they had an A and B main in this class. Street stock's really cool, but it's kind of supposed to be a beginner class, if I remember right. So like J Concepts has that really cool body and shock towers for the B6.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't want to build one because I would feel like a butthole. It's supposed to be a beginner class.
Dude, there's that time you raced street stock and I beat the crap out of you with the borrowed car. So. Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, now we're talking.
I had
1659 with this thin battery.
There you go. I had a borrowed car too. That same race. Okay. So SC modified. So it looks like there was 5 guys that raced with mods in their cars. So Mike Pruitt finished first. And I took some video of these guys, and his truck definitely looked the best out of all of them. Adam Derry was second. Adam Ayers was third. Bryson Ramey, who races carpet off-road as well, finished fourth, and Scott Lutz was fifth. Looks like, so, you know, the cool thing about Dirt Oval is they do their mains by laps. They don't do it by time. So it looks like it was 40 laps in this one for Mike Pruitt. And he did it in like 4 minutes. So 360 sprint, I believe this was the largest class of the day. And yeah, they had a C main. So we'll move on to 410 sprint. We'll come back to that one. So in 410 sprint, these are your mod guys. And these guys did a 50 lap main event. Craig Moline, who I kind of want to say always wins sometimes. So he finished first. He didn't qualify first though. He got beat. They do a fast 4 to set the grid, and he got beat by Jamie Barker, but Jamie Barker finished second in the main. And then it was Brian Erb third, Gooch, which is Darren
Ryder.
Darren Ryder. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, I love Gooch.
Yeah. Was fourth. Phil Beardshire was fifth. Mike Lafferty was sixth, and Craig Ferguson seventh, and Caleb Rennis was eighth. And these guys did 50 laps in 3 minutes and 32 seconds. Pretty quick. And then Mud Boss. So Mud Boss is a Traxxas Slash converted into a modified. And they call it Mud Boss, which is classic Dirt Oval, if you ask me.
Yeah, a ding dang do.
John Peterson. So these guys did 30 laps. So John Peterson won this one. Steve Foster was second. Rod Clark, one of the guys from Grand Island, finished third. Jeff Tadlock finished fourth. Jared Tadlock, his kiddo, finished fifth. And Casey McAtee finished sixth. And they did 30 laps in 3 minutes and 18 seconds. So the trend here, it looks to me, is that these races only last about 3 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Late model A main was Darren Ryder, taking this one over Craig Moline. Mike Pruitt finished third. Adam Ayers finished fourth. Brad Peters was fifth, and Trevor Zelazny was 6th, and Bryson Ramey was 7th. So it looks like that there was 7 total cars. It looks like only 6 ran the main. And then B-Mod. And B-Mods are basically, aren't they just 2-wheel drive cars turned into modifieds? Is that right?
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah, I think so. So these guys did 50 laps, and it was Phil Palmer taking the win in this one. 50,
nice.
50 laps in 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Derek Sprague was 2nd. Brian Bailey was 3rd. Wyatt Sprague was 4th. Dalton Hallbreaker was 5th. Rod Clark 6th. Christopher Pinckney was 7th. Walter Clark was 8th. And Logan Geiger finished 9th, but again, another non-starter. So it looks like there was just 8 cars.
Yeah.
And
I remember one time racing carpet. Oh, so go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I remember one time racing carpet, like in practice in the morning. Like I just got in there as my first battery, and Phil Palmer wrecked in the straightaway, and I totally like clobbered his car, and it like exploded everywhere. I felt so bad, like because he even yelled it out, and like I was already on the straightaway.
Yeah.
And I run like a 5.5 with timing in my 2-wheel. And and I was like, dude, let me know, like, whatever you need. Like, I'll take parts off my car. I feel so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I do
that's
remember
my
that.
Palmer
I
story.
remember that.
Yeah.
Craig Moline in 360 sprint. So Craig Moline did 6. So these guys did 60 laps. So that's how you know that this is the biggest class and one of the up there classes. It's 13.5 sprint car is basically what this is. So 410 is modified. You can do whatever you want. 360 sprint. These guys have a control tire and a 13.5 motor. So we changed from these Duratrax tires to these Proline tires this year. The Proline chain link fronts, and I can't remember what they call them in the back, but they're basically
they look like Hoosiers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that we did that because now that Proline's owned by Horizon Hobby, I think that was just something that Tim decided to do. So looks like it was successful. Everybody seemed to be pretty chill with their cars. So Craig Moline won this one. Brian Erb finished 2nd. Brian Erb used to race off-road, and he's kind of found his spot in Dirt Oval, it looks like. Jamie Barker finished 3rd. Jamie's from the Kansas City area. That was one thing I noticed about Dirt Oval this week. Not only did we have a big turnout, but there was people from all over the place, like Eastern Iowa, Kansas City, Grand Island, Omaha, Lincoln. It was really cool. It was kind of a regional Dirt Oval event, and everybody seemed to like the track, so that's good.
That's good.
Phil Beardshire finished 4th, Mike Archer 5th, Derek Sprague was 6th, Craig Ferguson was 7th, and Rod Johnson finished 8th in the A main. So kind of cool to see Rod Johnson making the main there. And then again, they did 60 laps in 4 minutes and 33 seconds. So
nice.
It was nice to see. You never know what to expect. You know, I live 5 minutes away, and when I come down Highway 133, and I can see the Plex at a certain point, and I look over there in the morning, and sometimes I'm running late. So I'm like, crap, I hope nobody's there. And Sunday morning, I looked over, and the parking lot was full, like all the way up front. And I'm like, oh, crap, I better get there. Better hurry up. So, yeah. So that's that. It was nice to see the work that I put into the Dirt Oval. It was for good use. Like, that's the thing.
Definitely.
The challenge is because the Techno Series takes place in 2 weeks, and all the doors will be open for that one so that we can breathe. So the track's going to dry out, which means the Dirt Oval is going to dry out. So the challenge is to make the track that good every time we race Dirt Oval.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
okay,
that'd be
good.
sweet.
I want to see how much time we have.
A good
left.
Dirt Oval is good.
Yeah. It looked really good. I took some video, and the 410 sprints were doing like wheelies and stuff. So
yeah,
it's good.
Wheelies are good. So it was all spec tire. Like,
no
matter what. Or?
360 sprint is spec tire, and I think 13.5 short course might be spec tire.
but everybody else can run.
Everybody else
run.
can, run what you want. I'm pretty uninformed when it comes to dirt oval, quite honestly, because the rules change.
I'd be interested to see what the open tire guys ran, like if they ran silver compound or gold compound.
Yeah, I know Craig was running Proline primes. Probably in gold, or maybe even their S3.
Like S3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't look around that much. Because we were really busy on Sunday, so I had to kind of sneak down there when I could to get video, and I kind of wandered around the pits a little bit.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel bad. I'm sort of uninformed about the dirt oval scene. When a change happens and we get all these phone calls, I'm like, I don't know. Call Tim. Like, like I have no idea. Just stop asking me.
Yeah.
I just work on the track. I don't know anything about anything else. But I need to get more up to speed on it.
I have my sprint car, and I'd like to know what to run in it, because I'm gonna run like the mod class. Like I'm not gonna run 360 or nothing.
I bet you silvers would have been fine.
Yeah.
I'm looking on YouTube here, and we don't have a lot of questions, but one question that did come in is from Ken Woodson, and he wants to know what are some basic upgrades I can do to his Traxxas Rustler. So, I have thoughts on that. One of the best upgrades you can do to any Traxxas car is an upgrade that isn't flashy or blingy, and most people probably won't even notice it, but it is the STRC captured hinge pins. That is like on my list of it has to be number 1 or number 2 of upgrades you can do to your Rustler. It's like $15.99, and instead of having the hinge pins that screw into the arm, so that every time, and it usually happens on the front right and the back left, and every time that it goes up and down as your car gets dirty, it basically the hinge pins will unscrew themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you get the captured hinge pins that go all the way through and then have a nut on the other side, then you don't have that effect, and you never have to worry about breaking an arm because your hinge pin came out.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Mine was going to be better servo and eliminate the servo saver. That was going to be mine. Like if you get a good heavy duty servo with metal gears and stuff, and you just put a solid arm on it.
Yep.
Without the servo saver, it'd make your car a lot more direct feeling and easier to drive.
That EcoPower 110 that we sell for $40 is a really good upgrade servo.
Yeah. That was going to be mine. And I don't even... Because see, does Traxxas do that thing now where you have to use their servo with their receiver?
No.
So, they don't do that? Okay.
Thank goodness.
So,
that would suck.
Yeah, no. Yeah. There was a company that was doing that, and I can't remember who it was, because we ran into that with the Firelands servos.
Oh.
We ran into that with those. I would do servo, definitely.
Yep, servo's a good one. What I tend to tell people is upgrade that when you break it, because then you're going to have it apart anyways. So you might as well just get the better one.
Oh, definitely.
And then when I had Emerson's Rustler back in the day, I didn't feel like fixing stuff all the time, so we got the aluminum spindles and hubs. But you don't really, they break, but it's not a huge deal when you do break those. The shocks, getting the metal shocks is a pretty nice upgrade. They're smoother, but also then you don't break caps off, or you don't have to worry about the caps coming off from the body and then dousing your truck in shock oil.
Yeah.
That's another good upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
But that'd be what I'd say. Those are 3 really good choices for upgrades there.
Yeah. How much do you want to spend, buddy? You can do all kinds of stuff.
Crazy. Did you see something I just showed on Live RC today? Was that Traxxas is now going to sell pro-built replacements, entire transmissions and diffs.
I saw that.
Yeah. So
that's a pretty good idea.
People have been doing that on eBay for years, where they'll take a Rustler, or not a Rustler, they'll take like a Revo, right? And they'll strip down the whole thing, like take off the front clip, the rear clip, the transmission, and they'll sell all that stuff individually, and it'd go for way more than what the truck would actually sell for if you sold it whole as an RTR. And we always would get people coming in and being like, yeah, I need a transmission for my Revo. And I'd be like, well, they don't really sell a whole transmission. You got to get all the pieces. And they're like, what? Say what?
Yeah.
And then you'd have to get all the pieces and add it up for them and show them. And then a lot of times they'd be like, well, I could find one of those on eBay. And I'm like, I know. I know you can. But Traxxas doesn't sell them that way. Well, now they do. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. We're going to get those guys in. They're going to be like, I need a transmission for my J-Tow. And I'll be like, all right, here you go, sir. It's in the bag.
Isn't it Giotto?
Yeah, Giotto. We've gone down that road before.
Giotto 33.
I haven't heard any good ones lately.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the last experience I had driving in the South, I thought for sure that I would hear some good mispronunciations of stuff, but I didn't. Everybody at the track was normal. Myrtle Beach, not so much.
It was normal.
But at the track, everybody was normal, so that was good.
Yeah. Probably my favorite is when somebody like is new and they call J Concepts stuff JC Concepts.
Yeah.
Or they call it Concepts. I need that Concepts stuff.
You guys have that concept?
That's probably my favorite. That's probably the most common, I think, for me anyway, being in the track all the time. But
Yeah.
Concepts.
Do you want to hear I was thinking about this the other day. The last time not the last time, but Gretchen and I used to travel a lot together. And then once we got married, that pretty much came to a stop. She didn't have to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear my funny ticket story I got in Auburn, Nebraska on my way to a Pearl Jam concert?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll end the show on this one. So it was, when was it? It was 2000. So Gretchen and I met in July of 2000. And then I got free tickets to Pearl Jam in Kansas City for the binaural album concert, right? And so we're going down there. And I borrowed my mom's car. My mom had a 1996 Camry that was given to her from her my stepdad's parents. They got a new car and they gave my mom this car because my mom was still driving our Festiva at that time. Anyways, you don't need to know any of that. All you need to know is that I was driving my mom's car, okay? And I got a lead foot, as I've spoken on here before. And we're driving, and I decided that I was going to show Gretchen the place that I lived when I lived in Kansas for 9 months in Valley Falls, Kansas. So instead of taking the interstate to Kansas City, we took Highway 75 to Kansas City, okay? And we were going to stop in Valley Falls, just north of Topeka, Kansas, and then take the turnpike to Kansas City and all this other stuff. Yeah. So we're heading down there, and I'm doing 86 miles an hour on Highway 75, and we're going over this hill, and I see this truck, and behind this truck are two state troopers back to back, right? And I go right by him, and I'm like, oh, crap. And sure enough, one of them turns around, and they pull us over. And I'm wearing this hat. I used to wear these. I don't wear hats anymore, but I used to wear this hat that was all the way around, like Gilligan. Was it Gilligan that had the hat?
Yeah.
I used to wear those.
Like those like the Billabong hats or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Remember those? So I was wearing that, and it was a hat that I had actually a bunch of signatures from the Norcanats on when they were in Pleasant Hill, I think that year. So I was still wearing that hat.
Yeah.
All right, so I get pulled over, and Gretchen's like, "Oh my God, how fast were you going?" I was like 86 miles an hour, and the speed limit's 55. So the cop comes over, and I'm wiggling around. I get my wallet out, and I open up my thing, and I look, and I don't have my driver's license. I have a different person's driver's license. Because,
again? Another time?
No, this is that story. Remember, have I told you this before?
Yeah.
So this is that story where I open it up and there's another person's driver's license.
Oh, okay.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and it's from the night before. We were at Big John's Billiards, and you got to give your driver's license to get the balls. And they had given me the wrong driver's license back. and I didn't notice it. I wasn't paying attention, and I stuck it in my wallet and went on my way. And so here I'm getting pulled over, and I'm looking at this cop, and I'm like, so, and I'm honest about it. I'm like, I have this guy's license, but it's not my driver's license. I tried to explain the story to him, and he's totally confused. And then he wants the registration, and the registration has my mom's name on it and not my name.
Yeah.
And so this thing's headed south really fast. So he asked me to get out of the car, and he takes me to the squad car, patrol car, whatever. And I've never sat in a patrol car before, but I'm in the front seat. And he goes, all right, explain to me again how you got this man's pants. And I sat there and I was like, what? I didn't say I had this guy's pants, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he was trying to trap me to tell a lie, or, you know, like testing me, or if he really thought that what I was telling him was that I got the guy's pants instead of the guy's license. And then
You're like, well, it's a funny story.
yeah. So then I hear over the radio a comeback for what I assume is a missing person, come back negative or whatever like that. And I'm sitting there going, oh, was that for me? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So it's really weird inside this car. So he clears. I tell him how it's my mom's car. It doesn't match my last name because she changed her name again.
They tried to see if you murdered somebody and took their driver's license.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Pants.
Yes. So
Killed someone and stole their pants.
So I had to explain why the registration isn't the same last name as mine. I'm like, my mom remarried. Her name is Mackenzie, not Sturgeon anymore. It's her car. She's let me borrow it. We're going to Kansas City, blah, blah, blah. This cop's like, I remember this cop being pretty stereotypical cop. He was like, I've never been to a concert. I don't see why you would want to go to one of those. And I'm like,
You're like, do you know who Eddie Vedder is?
I'm like, yeah, exactly. He was like serious about it. Like I would never spend money to go to a concert. I don't see the point. I'm like, whoa, dude, you need some happiness in your life, man. Like, seriously.
Well,
So-
you showed me. Let's go home.
Yeah, exactly. So the last thing that he clears me. He gives me the ticket, and it's for a whopping amount of money too. And I ended up taking a stop class in Nebraska City instead of paying the thing. I still had to pay a large amount of money, but at least I didn't have to have it on my record or whatever. Anyways, so the last thing I say to this cop, I go, man, that's a pretty cool scale. I've got a scale like that. And the thing is it's a drug scale. Like, it's not like a cop's going to use that scale for weighing, you know, Nebraska City crack, not for what I thought. I was thinking fishing, right? And so he looks at me, he says, well, what kind of scale, what do you use your scale for? And then I'm sitting there, I'm going, well, fishing, dude. I like to fish. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he let me go. So I was just in a bad spot all the way down. So when we were driving down to Beach RC, that I had to tell,
just keep making it worse.
dude, it was terrible. I had to tell that story to Emerson, and he didn't find it entertaining at all because he's 14.
Yeah, didn't Losi got raided one time in the 90s because they had so many gram scales for weighing the material before they put it in the mold.
Really?
For making parts. They had so much, like, what would be paraphernalia, like scales and stuff that they were ordering and whatever.
Weren't they in
the DEA raided them?
Weren't they in not a great part of Pasadena as well?
I have no idea. Jamie told me that story, and then I heard it again from Gil.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. I got that story in. There's a funny ending to that story, actually. But what were you gonna say?
What is it?
Well,
No, what were you gonna do?
no. Okay, so I took that stop class, right? So I had to go all the way down to Nebraska City to take the stop class. Stop classes, you don't do anything but nod your head and go yes, yes, yes. There's no test or anything like that. You just have to endure 8 hours of basically nothingness. I had to take one in Lincoln once too because I got caught speeding on Vine Street. Anyways, so I go down there.
The one I had a test.
Did it? Oh man, maybe there was.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think I spent the whole day like drawing something, All right. So, anyways, so I'm driving. Back then, I had an S10, a little white S10 pickup, 5-speed, no radio, no heat. It was just crappy, but it was mine. It was all paid for. And we get out of this stop class, and all these people are trying to drive back to Omaha. It was pretty clear that most of them were from Douglas County or Sarpy County. And we're on Highway 75, and this is before it was expanded, so it was only 2-lane. And everybody's going really slow, really, really slow, like either at or just under the speed limit. And I'm behind like 6 of them, and I'm starting to get pissed off about it. And so finally, we come over the crest of this hill, and I can see in front of me clear light on the the other side, and nobody wanted to pass anybody. And I was like, well, you guys all suck. We're not going to get pulled over again. So I put my truck into 5th gear, and I come out in the lane, and I pass all these people that just got done taking a stop class for speeding at like 90 miles an hour back to Omaha. And I pull back over, and then I stick my hand out the window, and I gave everybody the finger when I went home.
That's funny.
It was great.
I think you told that story before on the podcast. But
Oh,
no,
did I? Oh, man.
I think so.
Oh, well.
I know I've heard it before, and it was fairly recent.
It is a funny story. Like,
it's fine.
Like, I've had a lot of funny stuff happen to me, and it doesn't seem, some of it's, I don't want to bring on the podcast because some of it's funny. It'd be a good comedy skit if I could make it funny, but I can't say it. Like,
yeah.
Like, I accidentally picked up a hooker once, not knowing that I was picking up a hooker.
Yeah, I remember that. That's like one of my favorite stories.
I've told you that story before. That's a good one. So, but I can't. I don't think
told it on the show.
I don't think I should tell that one on the show though, because like, there's certain parents that listen to this, and I don't think they'd want to hear that one. So.
I'll assure you all, it was a true accident.
Yeah, total pure accident. Not. I had no idea because I was 19 and stupid. So, anyways, all right, we better go. Unless you want to, you got anything?
Nah, nothing I can think of.
All right. Well, Emerson and I will be there Friday, so it'll be game on if you're there. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I thought about racing on Saturday, but I might just race Friday.
Yeah, I'm excited. They got a new layout, so I'm excited to put a new layout down.
Yeah, but you're not racing, are you?
Stadium truck.
Nah.
On Saturday.
All right.
Yeah,
I don't know. I might race both. We'll see.
Stadium truck.
I would like to race, get another club race on my 4-wheel for dirt, because the following weekend I'm going to Kansas City. So.
Yep, and then you can talk about that on the podcast here, and I'll listen.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully I have something to talk about.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Top 3.
Yeah, 2.
I'm calling it now.
That'd be sweet to do top
3.
Top 3 in the invite thing.
Yeah, top 3. I'm calling it now.
That'd be neat if I finish right behind Alex and Tom.
Yep.
Because I'm sure they're going to be. Isn't that funny? Like, I just assume they're going to beat me. They are. So.
All right. Well, I guess I'll see you later.
All right. Cool.
I'll see all you guys later.
See you on Friday. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks
hold
for
on.
listening.
We gotta mention Pivot. Ooh, we didn't mention Pivot at all this show. I missed it at the start. I'm a terrible. It's my first day back in a while. Yeah, don't forget, this show is always sponsored by Pivot Lending Group, and you can find them at pivotlending.com. You can ask for Don Zoller, or if you want to be funny about it, you can always ask for Aiden Olson's dad. And
Aiden Olson's dad.
Mention our show and get a home loan or refinance. It's $500 lender credit towards your closing costs, or 0.125 off of your rate. That's how we roll here at the HobbyPlex show.
0.125 would be the better one.
Yeah, definitely.
Unboxing. After hours. Want to pimp it?
Oh, after hours? Yeah.
Is there an after hour show?
Yeah, we're going to do after hours again, too. See, it's my first day back in 2 weeks. I always forget stuff. So, yeah, after hours.
Yeah, getting back in the swing of things.
I know. We had a good after hours show on Thursday. Thursdays at 9 p.m. You can check out the HobbyPlex show after hours live stream, where I basically just sit around and fiddle with my cars for an hour and a half, and you can ask me questions or just chat. I don't care. Either or. It's fun. So
After hours.
after hours, be there.
HobbyPlex After Hours with Alex Sturgeon. Thursdays at 9 p.m. on YouTube.
Nice. He had that all queued up. He was like itching to use that thing.
That's the best.
He had his finger on it.
I
like,
love
like,
that.
come on, you gotta do it.
Yeah. hmm
All right, for real this time.
He's like sweats. He's like sweating and shaking. Like what?
All right, for real this time. We gotta go. I gotta go home.
All right.
All right.
All right. We'll
See you later.
later.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
And